For decades, England have lived with the same curse. Every tournament starts the same way. Hope, excitement, belief. Fans convince themselves that this could finally be the year. The media talks about a golden generation. The squad looks incredible on paper. And then something happens. A missed penalty, a heartbreaking defeat, a collapse under pressure, and England go home. Again, and again, and again. It's become one of football's oldest stories. The country that invented the game somehow keeps finding new ways to lose it. But what if something has changed? What if the England heading to the 2026 World Cup isn't the England we've seen before? Because the deeper you look at this team, the more uncomfortable a realization becomes. This is not the same England, and that should terrify the rest of the football world. Before we continue, if you enjoy football documentaries like this, make sure to subscribe because we're covering every major contender on the road to the 2026 World Cup. Now, let's get into it. For years, England's biggest problem wasn't talent. They always had talent. David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Wayne Rooney, Rio Ferdinand, Harry Kane. The names were never the issue. The problem was identity. Every generation seemed to carry the weight of the previous one's failures. Every tournament felt haunted. The pressure became heavier than the football. Players looked afraid to make mistakes, afraid to fail. And in football, fear is deadly. Because the moment you start playing not to lose, you've already lost. But this generation feels different, not because they're better players, because they think differently. And it starts with one man, Jude Bellingham. At just 23 years old, Bellingham already carries himself like a football legend. Most players dream of leading a nation. Bellingham expects it. That's the difference. Watch him play. He never looks nervous. He never looks overwhelmed. He never looks intimidated. Whether he's facing Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, or Brazil, his mentality remains exactly the same. He believes he belongs. And confidence like that spreads. Great teams are built around leaders. England have found theirs. But Bellingham isn't carrying this team alone, because something even more dangerous is happening around him. England's supporting cast might be the strongest in international football. Let's start with Cole Palmer, a player nobody can ignore anymore. For years, England searched for somebody who could change games with pure creativity. Now they have him. Palmer plays football like he's in a training session, relaxed, fearless, effortless. Pressure seems to bounce off him. The bigger the occasion, the calmer he becomes. And that's a terrifying quality in tournament football, because World Cups are often decided by moments. One pass, one shot, one decision. Palmer specializes in moments. Then there's Bukayo Saka, one of the most consistent players in world football. Fast, direct, intelligent, the type of winger defenders hate facing. For years, England relied on individual brilliance. Now they have multiple match winners. And that's before we even talk about Phil Foden, a player capable of producing magic from absolutely nothing. When Foden is at his best, he sees passing lanes nobody else can see. He turns impossible situations into opportunities. And with defenders focused on Bellingham, Palmer, and Saka, Foden becomes even more dangerous. Then comes Declan Rice, the engine, the protector, the player who makes everything work. World Cups aren't won by attackers alone. They're won by balance. And Rice gives England exactly that. He protects the defense, wins second balls, controls transitions, and allows the creative players to take risks. Every great team needs somebody willing to do the ugly work. Rice embraces it. Then there's Harry Kane, England's all-time leading goal scorer. For years, Kane carried the weight of an entire nation. Every expectation, every criticism, every dream. But something feels different now. For the first time in his international career, Kane isn't expected to do everything himself. The burden is shared. The responsibility is spread across the squad. And that could make him more dangerous than ever. Because when great strikers stop carrying pressure, they start scoring goals. But talent alone doesn't explain why England feel different. The real difference might be on the touchline. Thomas Tuchel, a manager with one obsession: winning. Tuchel doesn't care about narratives. He doesn't care about headlines. He cares about results. And that's exactly what England have lacked for decades: pragmatism. Tournament football isn't about entertaining people. It's about surviving. It's about adapting. It's about finding ways to win when everything goes wrong. Few managers understand that better than Tuchel. He's won at the highest level. He's managed superstars. He's handled pressure. And perhaps most importantly, he knows how to build tournament teams. That's why many analysts believe England finally have something they've lacked for generations: a complete package. Elite talent, elite depth, elite coaching, and elite mentality. But here's what should worry the rest of the world the most. Most of England's biggest stars are entering their prime. Bellingham isn't finished developing. Palmer isn't finished developing. Saka isn't finished developing. Foden still has more levels. This isn't a team reaching the end of a cycle. It's a team entering one. And that's dangerous, because World Cups often belong to teams arriving at exactly the right moment. Young enough to be fearless, experienced enough to stay calm, talented enough to beat anyone. England might finally fit that description. Of course, there are still questions. There always are. Can they handle pressure? Can they survive penalties? Can they deliver when the entire world is watching? Those questions won't disappear until England lift a trophy. But for the first time in a long time, the answers feel possible. Because this team doesn't look burdened by history. They look motivated by it. They don't play like a group trying to avoid failure. They play like a group chasing greatness. And that's a huge difference. The rest of the football world keeps looking at Argentina. They keep looking at France. They keep looking at Brazil. And maybe they're missing what's happening right in front of them. Because while everyone debates the usual favorites, England are quietly building something special, something dangerous, something capable of ending decades of heartbreak. This isn't the England of missed penalties. This isn't the England of wasted generations. This isn't the England that collapses when the pressure arrives. At least, that's what they hope. Because if this team finally fulfills its potential, if Bellingham leads, if Palmer delivers, if Kane finishes, if Tuchel gets everything right, then the football world may soon discover something it hasn't seen for a very long time. An England team nobody wants to face. And when that happens, the rest of the tournament might have a very serious problem.